All right, now we have the AFC West, probably the most fun team in the NFL, I would say. Definitely the most fun team in fantasy football. The Kansas City Chiefs, monster offseason. They bring back the true deep threat in Kansas City. Basically what Buffalo should have done, but failed to do. But who's the number one receiver this year? Is it Rashee Rice? Is it Hollywood Brown?
Well, that's what Mahomes does. He doesn't have to have a one. He had Tyreek Hill. They got rid of him, and then they won the Super Bowl. So they do what the Celtics do in basketball is they hit the open player, the person. So they go through the scheme. The Mahomes will look at the defense, cover two, man, and so to answer your question, it doesn't really matter who the number one is. Now for fantasy, sure. For when it comes to gambling, Vegas has them at a negative 230 to win the division. So. Sure, you can pick them. I mean,
take it to the bank, right? Like they're going to win the division. They will probably be in the Super Bowl again. There's going to have to be a couple of unfortunate things that happen throughout the season if they're not. But Patrick Mahomes, who by the way, the backup there now is Carson Wentz. Funny enough, so Carson Wentz might get another. If they win the Super Bowl, Carson Wentz will get another Super Bowl ring on a team that he didn't even really start for. Because the Eagles, right? Nick Foles took over.
Right.
They win a Super Bowl. Wentz gets a ring. So if Kansas City wins another Super Bowl here, Wentz gets a ring. So that's kind of like a side story there. But Isaiah Pacheco, guy I really want in fantasy. He's a workhorse running back on a great offense.
Seems undervalued right now.
Very undervalued, going in the 5th, 6th. I've even seen him in the 7th round of drafts. Deneric Prince is the backup that you want to know. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still there, but we don't care about him. And then Keontae Ingram, running back from Arizona. He was drafted out of Texas, I believe. Didn't really do too much there. He kind of had a couple of streaky games where he played pretty well. Interesting name to keep an eye on in Kansas City. But the big news in Kansas City, the wide receivers they brought in, they bring Hollywood Brown from the Ravens. He's injured right now. Deep threat, takes the top off of teams, of defenses. They draft Xavier Worthy, speedster out of Texas. They still have Rashee Rice.
They still have Travis.
They still have Travis Kelce.
They have talent upon talent upon. How? Well, I'd say how did they do it? But we were just looking at the contract restructuring like someone else did back in the day. Tom Brady.
Yeah.
They're following that model.
Do you want money or do you want to win?
Right, exactly. And he's taking less money. Was it $21.8 million this year?
21.6.
21.6.
Yeah.
And
so he, just so everyone knows, we just looked it up. Mahomes restructured his contract to save the Chiefs $21.6 million
this year,
so they can invest in other positions.
So you can have a tight end, you can have an extra tight end, you can have a lineman.
Yep.
You can have I think you gave me the stat of 3. You can get 3 running backs for that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this market right now, you can get a good running back for $7 million, so they could have 3 of the top running backs in the league if they wanted to.
And that's been a going theme for us. It is how much money. It's a salary cap league.
Yep, it is. Yeah, so we saw Brady do it. Mahomes is doing it smart. They want to win. Rashee Rice, he's dealing with some legal troubles right now. I'm hearing that his suspension, if there ever is one, it will not come until next year, so we don't have to worry about it this year. There's a fantasy legal expert out there that's been covering this story for us, so we're aware of it. Rashee Rice, I would have him on my round 3-4 turn radar. If you can get him in round 4, great. I would not hesitate to jump up and take him in round 3. Really? He's going in round 5 right now, which is screaming value. I've even seen him around 6 and 7. Do not wait on this guy. Hollywood Brown is already hurt. We've never seen him really put it together. We see glimpses of greatness there, but and he could be really good in this offense. But the guy that Mahomes has a real connection with,
it's Kelce.
Well, it's Kelce. But I'm talking about in the preseason this year.
Gotcha.
Xavier Worthy. He's hitting him deep every single day.
Is that the guy that he beat the Randy Moss's speed record at the Combine?
Oh, yeah. Shattered it. Yeah. Shattered it. So, yeah, they get the fastest guy in the draft thanks to the Buffalo Bills, their arch nemesis that just, again, it seems like they keep gifting them things, right? It's like every single year the Chiefs are like, here, Buffalo, take this. And Buffalo says, no, you have it. You have it. So they have the shiny new toy in Xavier Worthy. But they also have Rashee Rice, who's one of my favorite wide receivers this year. So Big things coming for him. I think Rashee Rice is this year's Amon-Ra St. Brown. And the reason I say that, Rashee Rice, weeks 12 through 17 last year, that's when it really mattered for them. He had 3 wide receiver 1 finishes, 18.8 fantasy points per game. He was on pace for 1,470 yards and 8 touchdowns there. He had a 2.62 yards per route run, which was number 10 in the NFL. Again, another stat that really matters in fantasy. The only wide receivers with more yards after the catch in 2024, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So this guy can do it all. Yards after the catch and yards per route run are 2 of the biggest indicators of fantasy success. This guy has both of them. I think he's this year's ARSB.
Are you thinking 4,500 yards then for Mahomes?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So
it's a lock, and I should go into the future. That
we were talking 100% that would go in the future bets, but we were talking about my top 5 wide receiver or quarterbacks this year. Who did I have at number 1? Remember? Patrick Mahomes. Even without the rushing ability, I think he has a monster.
I'm laughing because this is the first time I'm looking at this specific stat. Players have 4,000 regular season yards, negative 650 for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
So it's a.
Yeah, so Vegas is all over it.
Yeah,
I guess the tight end. He's got the wide receivers. He's gonna eat this year. So
45. It just to me. I remember when 3,000 was a big thing. Now it's 4,000 or bust.
Yeah. So they can do it all. They're deep at wide receiver. Don't forget about Justin Ross. He's still there. Mecole Hardman's still there. Sky Moore.
I keep on mentioning Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
Travis Kelce
I don't know
started to regress. So at the end of last season, he finished strong, right? He in the playoffs, the actual playoffs, not fantasy playoffs, but actual playoffs, he crushed. He was the main reason that team made it as far as they did and went to the Super Bowl and won. But there were points in the season where starting Trey McBride or Dallas Goedert or Dalton Kincaid was a better move than starting Travis Kelce, which you never would have thought that would be a sentence last year at the start of the season.
Right.
So there was some regression. He's getting older, and they drafted Jared Wiley. He is the rookie out of TCU, one of my favorite tight ends in the draft. Again, I don't watch college sports, but I follow the draft, and I follow a lot of the guys who do follow college sports. This guy is an animal. He's basically Travis Kelce 2.0. Okay. They drafted his replacement, and they did it for a reason. I think this is Travis Kelce's last run with the team. I think he's going to retire, sail off into the sunset with another Super Bowl win. But keep an eye on Jared Wiley. If anything happens to Travis Kelce, this guy's a top 5 fantasy tight end. Top 5.
Top 5. Do you think the Chiefs got 3-peat then?
For sure. They have a 3-peat, but they've set themselves up so that they can continue this success after Travis Kelce. It's next level GM and coaching.
Right.
Because they're either talking to Travis and he's being clear on his intentions and he's leaving after this year and he's giving them the courtesy heads up, or they're saying this guy doesn't quite have it anymore. He's lost a little juice. He's lost a step. He's getting older. Let's get his replacement a year early as opposed to a year late.
That's very interesting.
The Super Bowl window for this team, believe it or not, is shrinking. Very, very slowly. Patrick Mahomes will eventually get to the point. He's not Tom Brady, but he will eventually get to the point where they're going to have to figure out a way to make all of this work. If he keeps taking pay cuts, they'll be fine.
Right, yeah.
But if he doesn't, and he eventually says
$21 million every single year to get yourself some talent.
But the Super Bowl window, it's there right now for Kansas City, but for how long, we don't know. So let's move on to a team who has no Super Bowl window, might not have one for a while, the Las Vegas Raiders. Yikes. Well, at least you have Devontae Adams, guys. Now, who's going to get him the ball? Is it Aiden O'Connell or is it Gardner Minshew? Because that team looks horrendous on paper.
I mean, if Minshew can do his mustache a little bit better this year, but
put Minshew in some jorts and maybe he'll play well.
But he can play. I mean, he's a serviceable quarterback that can get the ball down the field. It comes down to ownership. It comes down to offense coordinating.
Yep.
They have not been consistent at all. Have the Raiders in my lifetime? I have not seen them ever been consistent.
No, and they're bringing a new offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy. Getsy pairs well with the head coach, Antonio Pierce. Both of them like to run the ball, so similar to the Patriots.
You mentioned you like Antonio Pierce to me.
I do. Oh, hey, G-Man, baby. Yeah. You got to represent. Yeah, so similar to the Pats, you have a new head coach, Antonio Pierce, not new this year, he was new last year, likes to run the ball. New offensive coordinator this year likes to run the ball. Expect the Raiders to lean on the run game which puts Zamir White in a really good position if the game script allows, right? So run-heavy team, we all want to run the ball. What happens
down 14-0
when you're down 14-0 early in the first quarter?
You don't get to run the ball.
Right. So Zamir White.
I'm sorry. White. Sorry, it's a bad. Sorry, I thought I heard my dog crying for 1 second.
I tossed to the chump and he tossed it back.
That's what I do.
A little volley.
So what happens is that you don't get to run the ball. You have to play from behind, and then the defensive lineman pin the ears back, and then your quarterback gets hurt. And either Minshew or O'Connell, they're going to be.
It's going to be rough.
Right.
Backup running back there is Alexander Madison coming from Minnesota, so they have a solid backup. Dylan Laube is another guy. I may have mispronounced his name. Rookie from New Hampshire. I like him a lot. He is a receiving back, kind of like a poor man's Danny Woodhead. I think he is the guy I'm most interested in because, again, this team on paper is probably going to be playing from behind. Their defense is actually really good. So maybe a stout defense in a heavy run game does play well, but yeah, they're going to be tired. So I think
Vegas does not have them looking well at all at plus 900 for the division.
Yeah. So we're going to stay away from Raiders altogether, I think. My recommendation, Zamir White looks like a workhorse on paper. I don't think he's going to last this season. I'm not all in on Devontae Adams. I actually think that he's a trade candidate, and I think we see him playing for the Jets by the end of the season. But
week by week, though, when they play the chumps of the division, the Broncos, you can score. You
got a couple of weak defenses in that division that you can take advantage of. So not a whole lot. Zamir White, couple of stats on him. He became the starter the last 4 games of the season last year. He had 2 100-yard games, 397 yards in total over that 4-game stretch, and he was one of the best running backs in the league. So something you can hang your hat on if you are going to jump up and draft Zamir White. It's going to cost you about a 4th or 5th round draft pick at this point. And his ADP is creeping up to that early 4th, late 3rd. I'm avoiding him at all costs.
No way.
There are better options around him. And a guy we just talked about, Rashee Rice. If you're telling me Rashee Rice or Zamir White in that same spot, it's Rashee Rice all day long.
That's Zay Flowers. Anybody over than a Raider.
Yep. And we can jump ahead to the Los Angeles Chargers, where they have a new head coach and a new offensive coordinator.
Jim Harbaugh,
baby. He goes from Michigan, that sign stealing. No, I won't get into it. And offensive
Connor
coordinator.
Stallions, he was doing his job.
Okay.
He's doing his job.
So they flip the script, right? They go turn into a run-heavy offense, which should give Herbert some more high percentage throws.
Protection than throwing the ball 50 times a game.
Hopefully lead to a more efficient passing game too, right? There's a lot of shots downfield that weren't really there. Greg Roman, offensive coordinator that comes over from the Ravens, very run heavy, very predictable. He brings with him 2 of his running backs, Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins. They have a rookie in Kamani Vidal there from Troy. Interesting offense. The only ones I'm really looking at from a fantasy perspective are the running backs, and there's too many of them for me. So, again, I'm going high upside. The high upside guy is J.K. Dobbins. So far in training camp and in the preseason, Kamani Vidal has gotten decent reports. He started very strong. There was a narrative that he may even be in line to take over that RB2 duty once Gus Edwards reported that he had an injury. So, for me, I'm all in on J.K. Dobbins at his ADP. He's costing about a 10th or 11th round draft pick at this point, so he's worth the coin flip there. And then Ladd McConkey, rookie from Georgia. I like him a lot.
No relation to Phil.
Yeah. So the chump looked that one up for us. So even though I'm wearing my Giants jersey, I wasn't sure who Phil McConkey was until now.
How many McConkeys got it?
Yeah, no relation. Come on.
It's weird.
Makes no sense. They have DJ Shark there. They have Joshua Palmer, Quentin Johnston, can't catch a ball, Donald Parham.
I'm a fan of Jim Harbaugh. He knows football. He's been here before. He did his thing in college, and he's back, and he knows football.
Not many coaches have seen success in college and at the NFL.
Right,
level.
say not many at all.
Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh, is that it?
definitely wasn't Saban.
Yeah, not
as
Saban.
Good as Saban was in college. No.
Yeah, it's a very very short list.
So sure. I'm a big fan of Jim. I'm a big fan of his football.
Yeah.
Like the Harbaughs in general.
Yeah.
They understand the clock possession part of it. They understand that there's not just the offense and defense, but also the special teams. That third part, in my opinion, is I've watched Steelers lose a lot of games due to special teams.
Yeah, and so if you want to hang your hat on one guy, I think it's Ladd McConkey in the passing game. Obviously, like I said, this is going to be a run-heavy offense. Let's focus our attention on J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Kamani Vidal. But Ladd McConkey looks real special. Keenan Allen leaves this team. Mike Williams leaves this team. The Chargers have 250 vacated targets up for grabs, 1,790 vacated receiving yards. They have to go somewhere. They're not going to pass as much, so maybe we can, trim those numbers down a little bit. But Ladd McConkey, to me, looks like he has the connection with Justin Herbert early in camp.
That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. So if you're going with one guy, it's Ladd. But let's stick to the running game there, and let's stick to the running game in Denver because they might be starting a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix out of Oregon. A complete rebuild for Denver. A complete rebuild. This is Sean Payton's team now. Everyone on the roster is fighting for a spot. They have a decent running back room if you look at it. Javonte Williams, Audric Estime, they draft out of Notre Dame, Jaleel McLaughlin, Samaje Perine. The wide receivers, I want no part of, but that running game, there must be something there.
But you have to be winning to run the ball, as we've talked about before. I mean, it'd be great if they can run the ball more than 3-4 yards to carry.
What's the game script going to be?
Right, exactly. Like if when you're down 14-0, 21-0, 21-7, you have to. We just talked about that.
Yeah.
The Denver Broncos they're on a little bit of a free fall right now. I think we've talked about subtraction with addition. And addition from subtraction.
Yep.
Russell Wilson's gone. That the politician is out of that locker room, and I will say it seems to me that locker room cohesiveness is important in every sport, not just football. But
he was a cancer to that locker room.
Right.
No doubt about it. Him and Sean Payton were horrible fits. Whoever thought that was going to work, terrible decision. But let's go back to that running game really quick. So Audric Estime, rookie from Notre Dame, he's very interesting because he's built like a workhorse. I love Jaleel McLaughlin. As an undrafted free agent last season, he saw 32% of his opportunities in the form of targets, 36 targets out of 112 total opportunities. That's nearly identical to Jalen Warren's utilization his rookie year. And head coach Sean Payton made Alvin Kamara and Darren Sproles a thing.
Right.
If you're looking for one running back that is similar to those two in terms of skill sets, it's Jaleel McLaughlin. Now, he can't block to save his life. He's horrendous. He doesn't keep his footing, according to some of the beat reporters over there in Denver.
We trained, though, right?
Yeah, coached. But if you're a Sean Payton running back, you better be able to block. So keep your eye on Audric Estime. I think he may end up being the lead back by the time the season comes to a close. But early on, Jaleel McLaughlin's the guy I got my eye on. But I'm seeing a lot of red lights on this offense. I want no part of it.
You did give some great insight just a second ago to the running back situation, though, that I'm going to have to completely forgot what you said, but I'm going to have to revisit it.
Oh, yeah. No. So the running back room, that's something I want a part of. Wide receiver group, no chance. If there's one wide receiver, Cortland Sutton is a guy I want. But again, Bo Nix is not going to take a lot of deep shots. He's a play it safe quarterback. He's mobile.
That's from college. Sometimes
change.
Yeah, they do change.
We got to allow for some change.
Offensive coordinators can really be a detriment or be a great asset for a young quarterback.
Agreed. So that wraps it up for us in the AFC. Next up, we have the NFC, kicking it off with the NFC East with my G-Men, the Washington Commanders, and Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles.